Hey, are you doing that crazy lean thing? Well, let's make sure it doesn't suck. We're going to give you the top 5 reasons lean fails and how to avoid it. Let's kick this off with the number 1 reason why lean fails. Upper management, middle management, and shop floor management. They just aren't inspired. How do you know if you're inspired? Let's take a quick test. Are you thinking of delegating lean to someone else?
If you're doing it for short-term money gains or to save a sinking ship, it may be a painful uphill battle.
Bottom line is,
you can't buy lean. You have to embrace it, heart and soul.
Can't buy me lean, da 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 da.
The second reason is training, or rather no training, or really crappy training. And you end up having this crazed visionary running around the shop making changes, and he can't figure out why no one gets it. And that never works out well.
Or let's say you initially train your people, but then you don't have a good way to get new employees on the same page. Talk about a breeding ground for disagreement.
Most people complain that training takes too much time and can be costly, but I assure you that untrained people are costing you money every single day.
The third reason it could go sideways is metrics, not measuring. Either you don't collect the data and you don't know if you're getting better or worse or why. How enthusiastic would you be watching your favorite sports team if no one kept score?
No data puts the whole organization into a state of gut feel, which drives teams apart rather than pulling them together.
You can also collect too much data, spending all of your time with analysis paralysis. All that data and none of it's being used.
And gosh darn it, sometimes you're just measuring the wrong thing altogether.
Here's a biggie. The perception of not having enough time. You might get pushback like, so let me get this straight. You want me to do SOPs, Kanban cards, gather data, make improvements, do 5S, and attend training, all while doing my day job.
Aside from time, I may not even have the expertise required. Not all of us are computer savvy, and that girl in the front office is getting really irritated because I keep asking her to do these for me.
For the love of God, get out of your comfort zone. Learn from others what to do, and more importantly, what not to do.
YouTube is great, but there's tremendous value in experiencing it firsthand. Get out to those lean factories and workshops. Imagine getting your questions answered by someone who's been there and done that.
Now, let's talk about how to avoid it.
Like a car accident.
Or like a crazy ex-girlfriend. Or that rash in college.
Or that rash that you didn't get in college.
Or like your in-laws.
Or your outlaws.
Let's talk about inspiration. Whether you're the owner or a top manager in your organization, inspiration is the one thing that has to come from within it. It has to be in your guts. It may take a little searching, but we have to find something that evokes that aha moment. Now for me, it was a long drive and an audiobook called The Toyota Way. After that, I got connected to 2-Second Lean, and I've been hooked ever since. Through this amazing lean community, I am now surrounded in the most unbelievable people on this planet, and it keeps me fired up 24 hours a day. Now I believe Lynn has delegated her cartoon self to tell you where else you can get some inspiration.
Other great places to start are watching YouTube videos. You can start by subscribing to the Quantum Lean channel. You can also search YouTube for lean manufacturing or 2-second improvements. There are tons of examples out there. Or even better, get out of the shop and network with other lean maniacs. Attend lean workshops. Find a mentor. The lean community is full of them. And keep in mind, training is not just for you. Train others. Knowledge isn't knowledge until you give it to someone.
The most important part about getting inspired and staying inspired is to stay in the learning zone. Be humble and infinitely curious. And you'll know when the people around you start catching that lean bug, you're not only inspired, you're inspiring.
Number 2 failure when implementing lean is no training or crappy training. We want you to not just make training a part of your onboarding process, but also make it part of your daily routine, even if it's only for 10 minutes. Training can be time consuming and costly, and a lot of people say, well, what if I sink all this money and effort into training people and they leave? And we say, what if you don't and they stay?
Whew! What do you say? We talk about metrics. Establishing metrics can be difficult. It requires a lot of thought and discipline. One of my favorite quotes is from Ellie Goldratt. He says, "You tell me how you measure me, and I'll tell you how I behave." The key is to reverse engineer your desired result. A good way to gain momentum in a lean transformation is to track improvements, quantify savings, dollars, and waste, which validates and encourages continuous improvement.
An example of measuring the wrong thing would be if you want to stop overproduction, but you're measuring your operators on equipment utilization. You could end up with a wonderful operator that achieves 100% utilization at the expense of making more parts than the next process can consume. You may want to stop measuring utilization and create visual controls to let them know when to produce and how much.
Let's take a look at too much data collection. We've seen it before where there are systems that track every minute of everyone's day. The biggest complaint out on the shop floor is that they feel like they're spending more time collecting data than actually working. If the data was visible and driving results, they would buy in and gladly collect the data. The one measurement that we all use is our financial statements. Now, those are great for paying taxes and accounting purposes. However, for making decisions on the shop floor, they're just too slow. We can't find out how we did 15 days too late. We need to be able to react right away. If I stand a chance at making a difference, I need to know how I'm doing right now.
One of my favorite metrics is a burn rate chart. It's so simple to see how we're doing every single day, and we use it to drive decisions on the shop floor. The fourth problem is the perception of not having enough time. Many lean companies give their employees 15, 20, 30 minutes every single morning to focus on continuous improvement. If you don't give them time to make improvements, most operators will revert right back to doing production every single time. And there's no right or wrong answer here. It's whatever works for your company. You have to find the right balance.
I know what you're thinking. You're like, are these guys crazy? We have to take away from production time to make improvements? And that's why we're going to dig just a little deeper for some clarity. We're going to talk about how lean is a lot like a three-legged table. Let's start with the knowledge base. You can get this through books or workshops. Then we go into time. We have to give people time and resources. And leadership always plays a huge role. If you don't give them the time, lean will not be a priority. You'll get false starts, it'll fizzle out. With no leadership, you end up getting chaos. Everyone's doing their impression of what's right. Without a good foundational knowledge, everyone's participating, but no one knows what's going on. The magic really happens when you balance all three. Any one taken away, and your lean table falls over.
So if you're still a little unsure, let's hear from one of the most respected leaders in the lean community and the author of 2-Second Lean.
The only way to do lean is to do it first. It is the priority, not a priority, the priority in your life. If you do that, you'll reap more benefits and have more joy in your life than you ever dreamed of, ever.
Well, as much as I'd like to hang out in my comfort zone all day, I think Brad's got some advice for me. Get out of your comfort zone, whether it's public speaking, running meetings, reaching out to strangers, asking for help. The lean community is the most wonderful, welcoming group of people in the world. I promise, once you get out of your comfort zone, you'll be glad you did. Now I realize we just threw some major topics at you, and it might even seem a little daunting.
You might be wondering where to even start. And since we can't be everywhere,
what we can do is give you the same tools and training that we would use if we were there.
Just imagine how easy it will be to onboard new employees.
Our website, tools, and training are a fraction of the cost of on-site consulting.
And when we say fraction, we mean fractions of a fraction. It's kind of a no-brainer.
So no more excuses. No more putting it off until you have time. Let's maximize your continuous improvement efforts so your leadership can focus on the heavy lifting.
So head on over to quantumlean.ca.
But only if you're serious about lean.